What and why are required, but how, who, and when get you results. Welcome to today's episode. Excited to talk to you about this. Going through a course at the moment, and it's about Amazon. It's about fulfillment by Amazon. And the interesting thing is that there's a huge amount of content, a lot of it covering those first two questions, what and why. What and why. What to do, why to do it. This encompasses a large amount of training. Like, okay, well, here is what you need to do, and here's why, and this in itself is required. You see, if you don't know that, then how are you going to know what to do or know how to do it? But it is not enough. It's not enough for results in your life just to know those two things. If you know what to do and why you need to do them, that's great. But recognize that nothing will happen. Nothing will happen just knowing those things. Yes, it's a requirement, but it is not enough. So what is enough? Well, what is enough is how are you going to do it? Like, what are the actual action steps? Do this, do this, do this, do this. Well, who's going to do it? Is it just magically going to happen? Unlikely. It's not. You're going to need somebody to do it. And even if it's an automation and you like say, oh, Zapier makes me happier, or Zapier makes me happier, someone's still got to set those up, and they can be super tricky if they have problems. It's like, oh, which one's doing what? I remember spending an extended amount of time setting up Infusionsoft. The problem is that the chances of it working drop as the complexity increases. Small number of automations. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get away with it. But as you get increased number of automations, then you need to know the consequences and the impacts of all of those automations. And this means very difficult. What it comes back to, though, is that still, even if you have an automation, somebody set it up. And most of the work you do is still going to be around who is responsible for that work. So you need to have someone take the action, take actual steps like the how-to, and when are they going to do it? Sometimes things do not have a time constraint. You can come back to them 3 weeks later and they're just going to be sitting there. But many things in life and in business will have time constraints. They have to be done by this time. They have to be set up and be ready. You know this for any time that you've done a launch. Like when you've done a launch, there are hard deadlines. When you say we are going launching on this date, then that means the content must be ready. The emails must be ready. And those things go out. The cart must be ready. The sales product must be ready. All of those things must be ready. There is a when that it must be done by. And this is a very interesting concept, because typically when you buy training, what you're going to find is all of those things are mixed in together, and some may be missing entirely. And so you then, even if you know what to do and why you're doing it, you may be then left to your own devices to work out how to do it. Or they've mixed the how all the way through the what and why. And this means that you then have to extract out the problems. And then you'll run into the final issue that I want to bring up, which is just because it's in the content in the course does not mean that that is the sequential steps that you need to do. There may well be logical problems where that step actually needs to be done before a previous one, even though it's covered later because of the explanation of why we're doing those things. So all of these things then need to be rearranged into the logical order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you just have that, when you get that, now you have an asset. Now you have the ability to have your team execute on that how every time the same, even if they've never seen the training in the first place. This is the power of systems. This is why you want to get good at systems. This is why every business book that is talking about the power of systems says, hey, this is the difference between success and failure. Literally, One of the books I read, I think it was Work the System. It said the difference between a large successful business and a small unsuccessful business is documented processes, also known as systems. If you need help with systems, head over to systemio.dev. That's all I got for you today. Hope you're having an awesome day and that you learnt a little bit more about how to extract out the how out of the training courses that you have already purchased, get them out of the folder of despair and into your business so you can get the results that you actually paid for. All right, look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode as we continue the journey then.